Oh, wow, big surprise. Sonic Frontiers is not a quality video game. I've been ruining my life with the Blue Baboon for at least as long as I've been alive. I stopped expecting quality, polished products from Sonic the Hedgehog a long time ago. However, those familiar with this channel are aware that I posted an hour-and-a-half long review of Sonic Adventure 2. For context, my Majora's Mask essay, my second favorite game of all time, is about 20 minutes long. Sonic has charm. Dumb charm, sure, but charm nonetheless. The character design and stories actually have significantly high points, and I'll praise the integrity of the game's visual artists to the moon and back. Not for Frontiers, but we'll get to that. However, Sonic games are bad. They are clunky, poorly optimized, have lackluster stories, and annoying gameplay. Sonic Frontiers, for a game that promises to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the series, is exactly like every other Sonic game, in the sense that it has impressively high highs and seriously low lows. The first thing that stuck out to me was just how many mechanics the game has. Combat, skill trees, handling controls, side quests, collectibles, cyberspace, a leveling system. It's a little overstimulating for a Sonic game, and I wasn't the biggest fan of how they introduced the mechanics. However, once you eventually understand them more, I think they're all passable. There's been a lot of hype around the cyberspace levels, and while I think they are beautiful, definitely the best looking part of the game, and have good soundtracks, they're just okay. Like, they're okay Sonic levels. I don't really understand why people love them so much. I get, maybe it's because people don't actually like the core gameplay, and they actually like... They're like, give me like something that resembles the Sonic I know. The cyberspace levels are a fun distraction, but it's basically every other Sonic level from every other linear Sonic game, but done very mediocrely. However, again, it is gorgeous. They are beautiful levels. I've heard some criticize Frontiers combat by claiming it's just mashing a button over and over again. And while that's technically true, I don't think it's a completely fair criticism. The developers included many different combos and techniques that keep the mashing interesting and are genuinely satisfying to pull off. I actually look forward to combat that forces me into a screeching halt in a Sonic game. There is something to be said for that. That is impressive. Look, man, at this point I have concluded that Sonic games are not one type of thing. They are whatever the heck you want them to be. They have attempted so many different gameplay styles over the years that I genuinely applaud SEGA for their often misplaced ambition. So the combat system is good. However, I do not particularly love the leveling system. The skill tree is fine, but needing to increase Sonic's defense and offense manually is just why? I haven't even actually noticed a difference in gameplay because of it, but that may just be due to a consistent difficulty curve. Not really a criticism, but just why? Another good question is why the heck they decided to go for the visual style they did. The game looks very ugly. The lighting engine itself is good and can provide for some occasionally beautiful moments during gameplay, but 60% of the game is nothing but mediocre to ugly visuals. All the environments look taken straight out of an Unreal Engine 4 template, and by the last few islands, they literally halted all creativity and just settled for 2 more grassy islands, even though the previous 2 zones had unique biomes like a desert and a volcano island. The side quests are fine, menial distractions that give you some extra playtime apart from the main story. They can get a little samey at times, but most importantly, they just give you an excuse to run around, and running around is the only thing that prevents this game from being a 5 out of 10. The movement feels very, very good. The idea of giving Sonic a completely free world to roam in while blazing past enemies at the speed of sound is genius, and it provides for some of the most enthralling and enjoyable movement in any Sonic game. Like, tell me it's not at least a little cool when you get to pull off one of these. The movement is precisely why I've even continued to play this game. The actual meat of the game is really, really fun. Not polished, not perfect, not even necessarily good. Just pure dumb excitement, and that most of the time is literally why I play Sonic in the first place. I heard a lot of people praising the boss sequences to no end, and while I think they're certainly one of the game's greatest highlights, they can be pretty janky at times. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the invigorating and cinematic moments, but they're bogged down occasionally by the trademark SEGA jank. Story-wise, I could care less. The voice actors actually do an excellent job performance-wise. This is easily the best Roger voice we've ever received. However, the dialogue itself is bad. You can tell the writers were really, really banking on all the diehard fans peeing themselves when Sonic mentioned some extremely specific reference to a previous game. Like, whoa, this looks like the Mystic Ruins, or, ha, I gotta tell, Goku about this when I get home. Frankly, it just comes off as pandering fan service. Don't get me wrong, I'm a lifelong Sonic fan. I love Sonic lore. It's so fun, it's so happy, it's so lovely. It's great, but I dislike feeling like every reference is a bone being thrown to me in the hopes that I'll be distracted from the game's middling narrative. As I'm running this, I have not actually finished the main game story, but I do not see any of my opinions changing. I'll gladly add an addendum to this point if my thoughts are altered by the end of my playthrough. Here is the addendum. I just finished the story. It was so odd. I don't even know how to formulate my thoughts. They tried many things. They attempted to make moments hit hard, but the story did absolutely nothing to deserve it. The narrative unfolds in the most disconnected and dissociative way. There genuinely was potential here, but it was utterly wasted by the developers' insistence on dragging the game out to 20 hours. It could have easily just been 10 hours. I'm fairly confident that they ought to have packed more quality into 3 islands instead of spreading themselves thin across 5. Okay, who's making that noise? The game is extremely fun when you first pick it up. I mean, I didn't want to stop playing, but the second half just goes further and further downhill. Sonic Frontiers gameplay peaked at the beginning and its story peaks near the end. Just another example of 2 elements clashing against each other. I genuinely don't understand how Sonic games can get so much right and so much wrong in the same game. Ultimately, look, here's the thing. Sonic has never been good. And I don't mean that in a toxic way. An extreme amount of talent and passion has been poured into this series by its developers. What I mean is that Sonic has never been polished. All of the highest moments in the series are beautifully rough around the edges, and all the lows are similarly only so low because of their jagged and abrasive quality. Sonic the Hedgehog is an awesome, feel-good series that I will always cherish my fond memories with, and Frontier's biggest selling point, the movement, is absolutely worthy of praise and keeps me coming back to it. But I think it's time for us to stop pretending like Sonic rivals any AAA title, let alone all the incredible indie titles of the modern era. I want Sonic to succeed, I truly do. But honestly, if he stays the weird blue porcupine that I hang out with every once in a while, just to get a quick laugh and have some fun with while reminiscing, I won't complain.
Shadow, it's not strong enough. We both have to attack him at once, and then he'll be defeated. That's my guess, at least.